Settings in ABT site. In order to work with the Sieger control point, it is necessary to set several settings for the project. In ABT site, there is a section in the menu, it's called Settings, and there are various menus. Let's start with the address defaults. In the tab IT, it's necessary to set all the IP-related settings, like naming, UDP port, and, of course, the IP addresses. In the tab BACnet, we can define the BACnet names and numbers. In the section User Profiles, we have several possibilities. Let's start with Common Settings. Here we can define some general settings for the project, like logging time for failed login, the attempts, and the password policy, which is important. For example, to set the minimum password length and the password policy. In order to work with secure passwords, we strongly recommend to use all 4 possibilities for the password. Additional to the password settings and login settings, we can also define the room operation priority and the technical operation priority for manual mode. We recommend to keep the defaults here. With this tick, Save Encrypted Password with the project data, it's ensured that all the passwords are saved together with the project data. So in case of problems, it would be possible to recover these passwords. If you tick these out, it's necessary to have all the passwords for this project somewhere else recorded, otherwise it's not possible to recover them. So we strongly recommend to tick this option. Let's continue with the roles. Here are some predefined user roles. All the settings for these user roles can be set here. For the Sieger control point, it's mainly this operation access. So which parts are available for operation for users with this role. But of course also some engineering settings. Under users, the specific users are defined, and each of the user belongs to a role. For the users, we can of course define the password and some settings like language and date and time format. Under the naming defaults, we define object names. Object names means it's either building elements like floors, areas and so on, or central functions and room functions for room automation. For the Sieger control point, mainly building and floor, so building elements will be necessary and the naming could be defined here. Next section would be localization. Here we can define the time zone, the engineering unit and the languages. The last point for the settings is number ranges. Here we in general define the device instance numbers, which may be necessary for the Sieger control point as well. Please note, it's essential to define all the namings and addresses and password policies together with your customer for a project and make a proper plan.